Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Always pleasure to be here.
With Valentine's Day right around the corner, I thought it'd be interesting to dive into something a little different today.
Oh,
Yeah, a listener sent in this really thoughtful devotional.
okay, I'm intrigued.
It centers around 1 Corinthians 13.13, the one about faith, hope, and love.
Ah, yes, of course, a classic.
Right, and so we're going to take a deep dive into it, unpack its meaning a bit, especially given that it's, well, Valentine's Day.
It does seem rather fitting for the occasion, doesn't it? So much emphasis on love today.
Exactly. And the devotional really digs into this idea that the love described in this verse, the one that's greater than all, it's not quite the same as the kind of the romantic love we often celebrate on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's definitely a distinction there. So how does the devotional approach this idea of love being greater than all?
Well, it starts by highlighting the verse itself. Now these three remain, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love.
Right, laying the groundwork.
Exactly. And then it kind of goes on to explore what makes this greatest love so different, what sets it apart, what makes it greater.
And what does it say about that?
So it talks about how this kind of love, it's not just a feeling, it's not fleeting, it's more about like a deep and lasting commitment.
A commitment.
Yeah, it's more aligned with God's love for us, that unconditional kind of love.
It sounds like it's talking about agape love.
Exactly, agape love. But to be honest, sometimes that concept can feel a little, I don't know, abstract. Like, how do we actually live that out?
That's a really good point. It can be hard to grasp something so, well, profound. So how does the devotional try to make this concept of agape love more tangible?
Well, it gets really interesting here. It connects this idea of agape love back to the challenges faced by the early church in Corinth.
Oh, that's fascinating. Tell me more about that.
So, the Corinthians, they were dealing with all sorts of issues. Divisions, jealousy, conflicts, you name it.
A very human set of problems.
Right. And Paul, in his letter to them, he's basically saying, hey, the answer to all this, the key to overcoming these challenges, it's agape love.
Oh, well, in a way, he's presenting agape love as the solution to their problems.
Exactly. And it makes you realize that maybe our struggles today aren't so different from theirs, Jealousy, disagreements, misunderstandings, that's still pretty relevant, right?
Absolutely. Human nature hasn't changed that much in 2,000 years. So what you're saying is the solution that Paul offered back then, this agape love, it's still applicable to us today.
That's exactly what the devotional is getting at. And it challenges us to think about, like, how do we apply this love in our own lives, in our relationships, in our communities?
I like that. So it's about taking this grand concept and making it practical, putting it into action.
Exactly. So, maybe it's less about saying, I love you with flowers and chocolates, and more about showing love through our actions, through our choices, our words, our everyday interactions.
I think you're really hitting on something important there. So what are some specific ways the devotional suggests we can actually practice this kind of love?
Well, it highlights a few powerful examples, like choosing forgiveness instead of holding on to grudges.
That's a tough one, but so powerful.
Right. Or being a patient listener, even when you disagree with someone. Or offering help even when it's inconvenient. Those are all acts of agape love.
Beautiful examples. Small acts can have a big impact. So how does the devotional suggest we cultivate this love within ourselves?
It brings up this beautiful point about how it all starts with recognizing and valuing God's love for us.
Ah, so before we can truly love others, we need to first understand and accept the love that God has for us.
Exactly. And the devotional really emphasizes that embracing God's love is the foundation for everything else.
It's like filling your own cup before you can pour into others.
That's a great way to put it. And it reminds me of that closing prayer in the devotional. It says, Lord, may I always value and share your eternal love. Amen.
It's a simple prayer, but so powerful in its message. It reminds us that this isn't just a one-time thing, it's an ongoing journey.
It's a constant process of learning and growing in love.
Precisely.
Wow, this has been such an insightful deep dive. I feel like we've only scratched the surface. But it's clear that love, real love, it's so much more than just a feeling.
I completely agree. It goes beyond emotions and sentimentality. It's about action. It's about commitment. It's about sacrifice.
It's a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
And as we go about our Valentine's Day, celebrating love in all its forms, I think it's worth asking ourselves, what if we all tried to see the world and each other through this lens of agape love?
It's a beautiful challenge, isn't it? A challenge to step outside of ourselves and to truly embody the love that God has shown us.
What a powerful way to live. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure, as always.
We'll see you next time.